A new remake for Dragon Quest VII has just been announced called Dragon Quest VII Reimagined. Dragon Quest VII is one of my favorite Dragon Quests, so this is really big news for me. The older version had a ton of quirks to it, some that made it a bit difficult. For example, the world-building puzzle piece system, so you'd find these puzzle pieces and you'd rebuild the world piece by piece. Those pieces were actually very hard to find in the original PS1 version, but then they made an updated version of the game for the 3DS called Fragments of the Forgotten Past, which made it much easier to find the pieces. So we'll have to kind of compare and contrast to multiple different versions here. The biggest difference is, as is often the case with remakes, the visuals. They've done a sort of chibi style that fits very much with the visuals of the original, but taken up to high definition. It's a very stylized graphical style that definitely leans into the aesthetic. They didn't go the HD 2D route here or something like FF7 Remake where it's very realistic. They kept a very Dragon Quest style, and I think they did a good job of making it unique to Dragon Quest VII. They've also revamped battle mechanics and added quality of life to the game, trying to bring it up to modern standards. Combat is still turn-based, of course. They've also added the Moonlight ability, so instead of only having one vocation, each character can now have two. Vocations are the system that determines your character's abilities, spells, and having the ability to choose two is a pretty big deal for how the battles will play out. Kind of think of it as a job system, so two jobs that you're able to have for one character. They've also added a perk system, so each vocation has their own perk, which can do active abilities like attacks or buffs for the party. They can only be used when your character is worked up, which sounds a bit more similar to the limit break system than the tension system from Dragon Quest VIII. There's also an all-new vocation, the Monster Master vocation, so you can now summon monsters apparently. Very excited to see how that works. It's possible that they've added other new vocations, but they've only mentioned the one so far. The quality of life includes automatically defeating weaker foes, so if they're a lower level than you, you probably don't have to fight them, it just auto-resolves. You can set tactics for your allies and for the protagonist to do auto-battles, and they've added fast-forward options to battles. I assume they'll be very similar to what we've seen before, where you choose something like 2x speed or 3x speed. They've said that they streamlined the game quite a bit and remade Dragon Quest VII from the ground up, which makes sense, considering the little that we've seen already. That's pretty big because the original version could take 100+ hours pretty easily, and even the 3DS version was something like 90 hours if you did various side quests. For me, the length wasn't a bad thing because there's so much to do. Finding all the puzzle pieces is a lot of fun. It reminds me of games like Soul Blazer, where you would open up new NPCs to talk to by defeating enemy spawn points. I like that level of exploration that these sort of discoveries create, so I'm hoping that in streamlining the game, they don't cut too much of that out. They do specifically say it's pacier and more accessible to players, while still maintaining the narrative depth the game is known for, so we'll see exactly how well they do that whenever it comes out. The producer Takeshi Ichikawa has said that they really wanted to bring this game to a worldwide audience, which is why it is releasing on all modern consoles and PC. And they went with the style that they did. They wanted it to feel more handcrafted and create environments that resembled dioramas, which kind of reminds me of what Mistwalker did with Fantasian, though I don't think in this case they created the dioramas in real life, though I guess I could be wrong about that. There does seem to be some level of voice acting in the remake, with the voice of Kiefer being shown in the trailer. To what extent there will be voice acting isn't clear yet, so we have to see whether they tell us in a trailer later on or in some sort of press release. There's also a physical edition of the game, including a collector's edition, which seems pretty cool. It has a steelbook, a slime plush, and a ship in a bottle. All in all, everything that they've shown and talked about for Dragon Quest VII Reimagined looks great. I'm a bit surprised they're releasing a remake for 7. The 3DS remake released in most of the world in 2016, so I guess it's been a decent amount of time since then, but I thought some of the other games in the series that are more popular might have gotten this treatment first. I'm not complaining though. I'm very excited to learn more throughout the coming months. Like I said, this is one of my favorite Dragon Quests, so very excited to see it. It'll release basically everywhere on February 5th, 2026. So what do you think about Dragon Quest VII Reimagined? Let me know in the comments. I do videos on RPGs of all kinds, so if you love them as much as I do, subscribe. Thanks for watching.